This is a video tutorial for SP7c, life cycle of a star. SP7 is for triple students only. So in today's video, I want to look at how do stars with masses similar to our Sun change over time, how do stars with much larger masses than the Sun change over time, and how does the balance between what's known as thermal expansion and gravity affect stars at different sizes. So all stars started out in what's called a nebula. Now these are large regions of galactic dust, hydrogen, that attract itself under gravity. So these clouds of dust and hydrogen are attracted together by gravity. They get closer and closer together, and soon they form what will become a star. Now these regions are absolutely huge. If we look at this nebula here, if we take just a small section of it, then the Earth would fit into just a small section of that small section. So these are very, very large areas, and you have many, many stars that are formed from each nebula. Now when these nebulas come together and gravity pulls all that gas and hydrogen together, it forms what's known as a protostar. This is the earliest form of what will become a normal star. And when it comes even closer together, the disk around the outside, full of that dust and hydrogen, it all comes together. That is when you get a main sequence star. And this is what we typically think of when we think of a star. Now, if we look at what energy changes and transfers going on during this cycle, the nebula has a lot of gravitational potential energy. And it's this gravitational potential energy being brought together by the nebula collapsing. The protostar has a lot of heat, and then that heat is converted into nuclear energy, which is what fuels the star. And we'll talk about that in a little moment. Now, our own star is a main sequence star, and we call it the Sun. It consists of 75% hydrogen and 25% helium. So it's mostly hydrogen with a little bit of helium. And it's currently 4.5 billion years old, and it's about halfway through its life cycle. Now the Sun produces heat via a process called fusion, and this is what creates the nuclear energy we saw in a couple of slides back. Now if you're in year 10, you've already done SP6, and we would have looked at what fusion is. For those of you who are in year 9 who have not covered fusion, it's basically when you get hydrogen that collides together and forms helium. So you have two hydrogen atoms collide together, you end up with helium atoms. Now this produces a lot of heat, and this is the heat that we feel on Earth, sunlight. The sun is sun's heat, and it also causes a pressure, and it's this outward pressure that then balances the gravity of the star being pulled in by its own mass. So you have gravity trying to collapse the star, and you have this outward radiation pressure of all of this heat pushing outwards, trying to push the star up. And when these forces balance, this is when you have a stable star that won't expand or contract. So what happens next will depend on the mass of the star. And we're going to start by looking at stars with a similar mass to our own Sun. Now once the Sun has used up its hydrogen, it will start to expand. There'll be more outward radiation pressure the gravity can hold, so the Sun will start to expand. And you end up going from a star roughly this size all the way up to this size, or sometimes even this size. And the Earth will one day be enveloped by the Sun as it gets hotter and expands. So the Sun will reach the orbit the Earth currently is in. Now after the Sun has expanded, the outer layers will just go off into space, and it will leave just the core of the star where the fusion was originally taking place as a white dwarf. So if this is the size of the Sun now, we're left with just a white dwarf as a tiny little core just floating in space. And eventually this will cool down, all of its excess heat will escape, and you're left with what's called a brown dwarf or a black dwarf. So here you have the full sequence for some stars like our own. You have the protostars forming within nebulas, into the main sequence stars, which is where our Sun currently is, then to a red giant, then to a white dwarf with another nebula forming around the outside. This is where planets can be formed, remnants of the outside of the star, and then you end up with black dwarf at the end. So we've looked at stars similar to our own sun, but now let's have a look at stars that have a much larger mass than our own. They start off in a nebula, just like we've seen before, but they differ when they get to that red giant phase. And rather than being a typical red giant, they form what's called super red giants. So the radiation pressure is even greater and the star starts to expand. Now, rather than forming a white dwarf and then a brown dwarf and then a black dwarf, these stars will go into what's called supernova. So these will eventually release an incredible amount of matter that will collapse under gravity and then be repelled by electrostatic repulsion. So you think all of those nuclei are going to be pushed together due to gravity and then repelled apart due to their like charges. This leads to a huge explosion of matter, and supernova, some of the largest explosions in the universe. And then what's left depends on the mass. Slightly smaller, larger stars will form neutron stars. So these are stars made up of just neutrons, very tightly packed together. And the largest stars will form black holes. So this is the full life cycle of all stars. So you have the sun-like stars that go through nebula, protostar, main sequence, red giant, white dwarf, black dwarf. And then you have larger stars that will form from nebulas, protostars, main sequence, super red giants, supernovas, and then either a neutron star or a black hole, depending on the mass. So let's now go through some exam style questions, practice the stuff that we've just covered. So first off, pause the video and have a go at this question. Describe 2 ways in which gravity has a part in the life cycle of a star. I'll give you a couple minutes to have a go. Okay, so hopefully you've had something along these lines. So for the 2 marks, you could pick any of these 2 points. So gravity pulls a cloud of gas together and compresses it into fusion stars. So this is staying about the nebula stage. Gravity collapses the core of a star when a red giant forms. Gravity will compress the remains of a red giant into a white dwarf. Gravity compresses the star at the end of the super red giant period to cause a supernova, or gravity pulls the remains of the supernova together to form a neutron star or a black hole. So if you got any of those 2 points, they're your 2 marks. Okay, here are 3 more multiple choice questions for you to have a go at. Pause the video and see if you can answer these 3 questions. Okay, question 1. When the sun nears the end of its life, it will become a... Well, the sun is not one of the massive stars, so we know that we can rule out black hole, neutron star and supernova, so the answer must be white dwarf. So the answer for the first one is white dwarf. Question number 2. Which of these gives the next stages in the evolution of the sun? Well, the sun is going to become a red giant and then a white dwarf. So the answer here was D. And question 3, a supernova is... Now the answer for that one is the explosion of a massive star. So we should have had D, D and C as the answer for these 3 questions. Here are 2 more questions for you to try. Pause the video, have a go, and then I'll go through the answers. Okay, so part A. Our sun is a main sequence star. It will stay as a main sequence star for millions of years, continuing to radiate energy. Our sun was formed from a nebula. Describe the formation of our sun from nebula to main sequence. Now, with questions like this, it's really important that you read the question carefully to make sure you know what exactly is it asking you. Because here, you know that you're having to start from nebula, the nebula phase, to the main sequence phase. If you didn't read this carefully and just said describe the formation of our sun, you might miss some key points from that last part. So the answer to this question, well, this is the actual mark scheme. So if you said any of these 2 points, you get the 2 marks. So you have to say, well, gravity caused the nebula to collapse or contract, which caused the temperature to increase. So if you said gravity caused the nebula to collapse, that's 2 marks. Or if you said maybe the nebula collapses and this causes the temperature to increase, that would also give you 2 marks. On the side here are some extra points you could have put. You could have said that kinetic energy or gravitational potential energy is converted into thermal, or that there was enough heat to cause fusion to start, something like that. Or you could also say that when it pulls the particles together, it forms a protostar. So any of these 2 points would give you your 2 marks. Now for the second part of this question, it says the sun, our sun will go through many stages. Which of these will our sun go through? So we know we can instantly rule out black holes, neutron star and supernova. So as with previous question, the answer here is white dwarf. And this is a question that comes up quite often in exam papers, so it's not a surprise that it came up twice in this when I was going through these questions. The sorts of questions they can ask on this topic are quite repetitive. So if you can nail these basic questions, you should be okay with this topic. Anyway, that's the end of this tutorial on SP7c, life cycle of a star.